back, everybody, to another edition of the High School Blitz. I'm joined, as always, by Thomas Jones, and we have a special guest just for you people today. That's the one, the only Jay Plotkin that knows everything about Westlake, about Lake Travis, and just as it happens, we're talking about those two football teams today. I thought the big game was Thorndale-Thrall. It is next weekend, but this weekend we've got the big one, Westlake, Lake Travis. TJ, we'll start with you. What's your first thought when you think about those two teams?
This year, my first thought is Westlake is missing Nakia Watson. Now, Trip Graham is playing great, the physical running back for Westlake. He's kind of like a poor man's Nakia Watson. I think Graham's average about 136, 137 a game. He gives Westlake that power running game, but he doesn't quite have that breakaway speed that Nakia Watson had. Watson's now playing for Wisconsin. Can Westlake generate enough offense to keep up with a high-scoring Lake Travis offense?
Jay, when you look at Lake Travis, what stands out? We know how good they are year after year after year. Are they any different this year than they have been in previous years?
The one thing that's made them a little bit different this year is the ability to run the ball with the running back position. They've got they were going to start the year with Sean Brown-Nixon as a senior. He had 100 yards in the opener against Arlington Martin, but then he broke his foot at the end of the game, and I think they kind of wondered where they would go from there. But they've had 3 sophomores step up and really carry the rock for them, and that's given them a nice balance. And then of course, the thing that really makes Lake Travis special on offense is another Division I quarterback in Hudson Card and receiver named Garrett Wilson.
Is Hudson Card a different player right now at quarterback than he was a year ago?
Yes, he's much different. I think last year we kind of knew he was the next in line to be quarterback, but I think most everybody thought he's a great athlete who might be able to play quarterback. But watching him this year through 5.5 games, he looks like he's played quarterback his entire life. He makes every throw, he makes good reads. Their offense is on time, on schedule, and he puts the ball where his guys can get it.
Now remember, we haven't seen Hudson Card really run the ball much this year. He's a great athlete. Lake Travis has played, what, 5 games? And Hudson has run for about 220 yards, is that right? Somewhere around there. I think keep an eye, if they turn Hudson Card loose with his legs against Westlake, that may be the first time they've done it this year. And maybe that's something Coach Hank Carter and his staff are kind of keeping up their sleeve, so to speak.
But talking about strengths, when you go back to Westlake, you're talking about a defense that's going to be trying to stop those guys. I like a free safety, Sage Luther, Westlake. First of all, Westlake has thrown, what, 3 shutouts in a row?
Yeah.
Linebacker Jake Ellinger, the brother of, he's playing outstanding football. David Neal, a guy that we've been talking about for a couple years. Yeah. He's playing outstanding, so I think that Westlake's going to hold their own, especially on the defensive end.
Well, Card hasn't, and Lake Travis, they have not seen this type of defensive front this year yet. This is going to be their biggest test for an offensive line that frankly entered the year with some questions. They're a little young. They got guys at different spots. Let's see how they can hold up against David Neal and those guys.
Yeah, Jay, let me ask you this. Last year, Westlake upset Lake Travis. How much of a carryover did that mean for this year's game?
I think it does 2 things. I think this huge weight is lifted off of Westlake's shoulders because they had that 10-game streak after they won the first 2, where Lake Travis won the next 10, and of late they hadn't been very close. To get that win last year and really kind of lift that weight has to do wonders for Westlake's confidence. They've got some key players from that game back. You mentioned Sage Luther on the back end of the defense and Jake Ellinger in the middle, but really it was David Neal who controlled that game for Westlake. Time and again, he won his battles against Lake Travis's offensive line, and they're certainly going to need him to do that again this year. But the flip side of that coin is everybody knows Lake Travis doesn't like for schools to have one up on them at all. Revenge is a huge motivator for them, and if you talk to Garrett Wilson at any point over the last years from that game, especially given he was the one who was stopped short on that final 4th down play that kind of snuffed out Lake Travis's final chance, this really sticks in his craw, and it's something that he's been looking for a chance to get back at for about a year.
Now, Jay, let me ask you. You were at the Lake Travis-Lehman game this past week. Garrett Wilson did not play. Tweaked his back in practice a little bit. How healthy is he going to be? Is he going to be 100% against Westlake?
He should be 100% against Westlake. I talked with him on the sideline. I talked with Coach Carter after the game, and he said Garrett's going to be a full go. I think it was one of those deals, Thomas, where if this game were last Friday, he would have played.
Yeah.
Let's final question, TJ. I'm going to start with you. Just give me a score, and the exact score. It's going to be this to this.
Wow. 28-23 Lake Travis.
All right.
I think Lake Travis's offense can beat you in multiple ways, whether it's Hudson Card throwing the ball to Garrett Wilson, Hudson Card running the ball, or like Jay was talking about, some of their running backs getting going. I think Westlake's a little bit more limited offensively, even though I think Westlake has a better defense. I don't know if they have quite as many options on offense.
Jay?
I think Lake Travis gets its mojo back against Westlake. I don't think it's as close as 28-23 though. I would say something like in the 35-17 range. Garrett Wilson, motivated. Hudson Card has been brilliant all year. I know Westlake will pay a lot of attention to those guys and maybe take two guys and try and cover Wilson. But don't sleep on receivers like Kyle Eves and Grayson Sandlin and Jeremiah Patterson, who had a big game last week for Lake Travis in Wilson's absence. Plus, I think Lake Travis is a little bit more solid on the offensive front this year.
Right.
And they seem to be a little more put together on defense, even though they haven't had the shutout numbers that you've seen from Westlake.
Well, in honor of the Cleveland Browns, led by Baker Mayfield, and another victory for the Browns this weekend, I'm also going to take Lake Travis. I think it's going to be a good game. I think my score is going to probably be in between yours. I'm going to go with 30-20. I think it's going to be a close game for half. I think they just got too many weapons on the offensive end, and Westlake will keep it close with the defensive end. Well, thanks, Jay Plotkin, for being our big special guest this weekend, and TJ, as always, and myself, as we like to say in our business. First of all, we want you to come back next week. We'll talk about some more games, but until then, we hope your favorite team wins.